Welcome to this 9th day of lockdown. My name is Mark Long. I'm rector of the parish of St Andrews in Newlands and speaking to you today from the rectory garden. Today's readings come from John 11 and Ezekiel 37. Key in the John reading for me is the prophecy that the high priest Caiaphas gives, which is in essence that in order to avoid the wrath of Rome, one man needs to die for the people, and that the plan is will be Jesus. Not only will he die for the nation, but he will die and bring together the nations. That's part of what is both implicit and explicit in what Caiaphas has to say. Ezekiel 37 in the background is Ezekiel's prophecy that the north and southern kingdoms that had been united under David and Solomon and have now separated will one day be rejoined. And there's obviously a link between this and Caiaphas's prophecy, and obviously the hopes and longings of people for all that the future will hold. One of the huge challenges for us is to be willing to see more broadly and to recognize that God works far more broadly than we perceive, and certainly beyond the boundaries we seem to lay down so often. Not only is Jesus to unite, or was not only is God working through Jesus, and subsequently as we read through Acts through the work of the Spirit, God's not just uniting the old north and the old south, but God is actually breaking this distinction between the people of God, Judah, Israel, and the Gentiles, everybody who was outside, perceived to be outside of God's family. And you and I have the benefit of a few centuries, a millennia of history in which we have continued to struggle with that, because I think as human beings we are by nature exclusive, but needing to become more inclusive in the way we see and react and deal with each other and with others. The COVID-19 pandemic is also a major disruptor, and one that I think is bringing huge change. I think we're all kind of longing to get back to normal, but normal will clearly be different when we get there. And we're going to have to let go of some of our perceptions of what normal should be like, some of our perceptions of the manner in which God is working in our world, and of course the way in which we need to be working in the world, how we need to be the people of God in a post-COVID-19 scenario. That's probably still a way off. We need to continue to grapple with being in lockdown for some days to come, and who knows whether or not that will be extended. But the challenge is that God speaks. We interpret in a very limited way, and God uses things like Jesus in his own time. Others over the centuries, St. Francis, Mother Teresa, even people like Gandhi and Mandela, who just managed to shift the boundaries in such a way that we perceive new opportunities and new ways of living and new opportunities for hope. And my prayer is that this pandemic will be something that will similarly push us into that space where we really do find ourselves surprised. Not only surprised, but also excited about what is there. There obviously will be huge levels of suffering and difficulty that come out of this, but new opportunities for us, both as church and as society, to really grapple with what it is to be God's people, and as South Africans, what it is to be citizens of this nation, and how we seek to live together going forward. So I leave those thoughts for some reflection for you. God bless.